Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and small children. Today we're going to be using an eye-themed Clash Royale deck where none of the cards can have the same color eye. So, and I'm aware that the Baby Dragon Evo is in a lot of my decks. It's probably in half of them. But the Baby Dragon Evo has purple eyes, Berserkers are orange, Princesses are brown, Healers are blue, E-Golems are pink, the Goblin Gangs are green. Bandits aren't really green or blue. They're kind of in the middle. They're kind of a teal. And then the Heal Spirits are yellow. So these are all the cards in the game with different color eyes. And we're going to see if we can win with it today. We're up against Iron Man here. He does have Musketeer in his profile, so we'll see if he is... Okay. That was not a good healer. But it looks like... Try to kill this boss bandit before it gets too far, but we might actually have to go with an E-Golem on defense here, just because there's a lot of very high damage dealing cards. And it looks like we are going to defend, but he is, I think, going to be up quite a bit of elixir because of the E-Golem. And... oh man. I'm going to have to go with this, and then probably a Berserker to clean up the Witch. One of the things that has been on my mind recently has been about a certain, I think it's a certain experiment or a certain, I can't remember where I heard this, but it might have been an analogy for a lesson somewhere. I'm not entirely sure, but it was essentially an activity where someone would hold a cup of water in front of them. And the challenge was simply to see how long they could hold the water, how long they could hold the cup of water. And it was really easy for the first part. Like, it was super easy for the first few minutes. But after a while, it starts to get heavy. Just holding it starts to get really heavy. And it's not just the case with a water bottle. It's the case with anything. You could be holding a weight. Maybe you're holding one of the 5-pound dumbbells and it feels really light, but if you hold on to it for enough time, it ends up feeling really, really heavy. And essentially what that was showing was that things that are not a huge deal, things that are small and fairly insignificant can feel really heavy and really weigh on us if we keep holding on to them for a really long time. And okay, well, this is not a great game. And you may think that something so small can't really make that big of a difference, but when we went to the Grand Canyon, one of the things that I learned is that the river that made the Grand Canyon wasn't actually, originally I thought that the water went all the way to the sides of the Grand Canyon and it was this rushing river, but in reality it was a really, really thin stream, like really thin, and it stayed the exact same length over all these years, and it just corroded essentially the very, very base in the very middle, and then the rock just ended up caving in, and that's what made the Grand Canyon. So it wasn't this massive rushing river that created the Grand Canyon. It was actually a really strong stream, or a really small stream, and because it did that over millions of years, I think it was actually a couple billion years, because it did that for so long, it just corroded and corroded the water and or corroded the rock, and it was just the length of time really in which it ran. So it wasn't a big stream, it wasn't very significant, but it just was so consistent for so long that that tiny river ended up making the entire Grand Canyon. And so something that's really small can end up making a really big difference if it's given a lot of time to do so. So I guess what I'm saying is kind of an analogy to things that we may be holding on to. We may be holding on to grudges or feelings. We may even be holding on to people. And sometimes it's best just to let go of those people, because if we hold on to them for a really long time and they end up being harmful or toxic, even if it can be something really small, but if we end up holding on to it for a while, then it can end up really being a weight on us after a while. So that's what I wanted to share with you, is just knowing when to let go of people, knowing when to let go of things, letting go of grudges and forgiving people, not necessarily for their benefit, but for your benefit. Because if you end up holding on to that for a really long time, then it's going to end up feeling like a really heavy weight after a while. So let's see if maybe in the last minute of the game, if we can win here. I think we'll have to maybe get to another E-Golem and then use our baby dragon to speed it all up. And he just used a snowball, so we should get decent value out of the goblin game, but the baby dragon is still, the wind's going to go away, but maybe we can get a little bit of, no, we can't get any speed from the wind. Well, it's going to be a couple losses, but hopefully the message was at least meaningful. So if you're holding on to something and it's kind of weighing you down, then let go of it. Sometimes the best thing to do is to let go, and it prevents you from holding on to it and just having it be a weight that gets heavier and heavier. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful day today, and I will see you all soon.